This is just a really short follow-up to a video I did recently about Engelhard silver bars. Actually, these are kind of a retro re-release of the Engelhard bar called Brand New Engelhard Retro Bullion from a Vintage Refinery. You can check that video out. I'll leave a link down below. If you are new to the channel, I want to thank you for being with me here today. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, love to have you click on that subscription button, become part of this community. And if you're one of my returning subscribers, I know sometimes it seems like I'm flogging a dead horse here, guys, but I took a bullet so you didn't have to. What you see here is an unboxing. We are going to be unboxing one of these new revived Engelhard products from MKS PAMP. So we talked about MKS PAMP's relaunch of the Engelhard name, the license through BASF. The name should sound familiar to you. It has been around for a long time. This is a chemical company, a metallurgical company. BASF has been around for many, many years. And they were ultimately the owner of the Engelhard name after Engelhard kind of dissolved and reformed in a lot of different ways post-consumer bullion. This would be probably 1990-ish. BASF is actually called BASF ECMS, which is Environmental Chemical Metal Solutions now. And they licensed the Engelhard name to MKS PAMP, who is one of the largest conglomerates in the precious metal field. We'll talk about them in just a second. But they licensed these to reproduce or recreate or revive the Engelhard name with a series of products that are familiar to people who are familiar with classic Engelhard. Engelhard, one of the most important refineries of the consumer bullion market age. This was when consumers really first started buying bullion products, silver and gold, where they'd never really had to do that before, really even wanted to do it before. Engelhard kind of released these pieces for the consumer market in the 1970s, but really primarily in the 1980s. So MKS PAMP has revived the Engelhard name with a series of products. MKS subsidiaries include PAMP Swiss, right? MTB. You've heard me talk about MTB on this channel quite a bit. That's Manfred, Tordello, and Brooks. They are a large bullion supplier. They're one of those places that supplies bullion to foreign governments. That's how big they are. The other name that sounds probably familiar to a lot of people in the stacking community is APMEX. So MKS PAMP has got their fingers in a lot of situations that deal directly with consumer bullion and even much, much larger bullion purchases, bullion dealers, right? So the new products, these revived Engelhard names that MKS PAMP is putting out through this license with BASF, includes a 1/10 gold prospector. Prospector, like you see here, these are incredibly popular silver rounds that were made in the 1980s by Engelhard. But again, after the Engelhard name or the company dissolved and regrouped in a way that wasn't really selling bullion to consumers, they stopped making these prospectors sometime around 1988. So 1982-ish to 1988. And I said in that previous video, again, you're welcome to take a look at that if you haven't seen it yet, that one of the deciding factors for them to probably get out of the consumer market was the introduction of the American Silver Eagle from the United States Mint in 1986. When Engelhard had been releasing somewhere around 75,000 of these prospectors on a yearly basis, and the United States Mint came in and started producing millions. The writing was on the wall, right? It was probably time for Engelhard to get out of the consumer market. So the MKS revived Engelhard name, releasing 1/10 gold prospectors, also releasing a 3-bar set that includes a 1, a 5, and a 10-ounce bar of silver that looks very similar to the very popular MTB, there's that name again, Liberty sets that came out in 1986. So this is something else that the revived Engelhard name is going to be on. They also released a 3-ounce poured bar, right? This is a poured or cast bar. Now, the Engelhard name went along with much of the other producers of silver in the 1980s and went very rapidly from an old-style poured or cast bar to the much more modern-looking minted bars. And again, there is a 3-part video series specifically about an introduction to the 1 ounce and 10 ounce silver bars from Engelhard. I'll put that down below as well, where you'll see all of these different manufacturing techniques. I talk about all of them. But it's interesting that though Engelhard had moved away from these cast bars, these are kind of almost romantic. This is something that people who stack vintage silver look out for. We are on the hunt for these old style poured or cast bars. Even though Engelhard had stopped making those in about 1985, this new revived Engelhard company, name, brand, whatever you want to call it, through MKS PAMP, has re-released a cast or poured 3-ounce silver bar. That's interesting. I'll talk about that again in just a second. And the final thing that we know that they've released so far, or that they are planning to release so far, and if these are successful, it's very possible and even likely that MKS PAMP will continue on this line and make even more of these. But the last thing that they released was a 2025 dated 1-ounce silver prospector. Interesting. This one kind of caught my attention a little bit, and I have doubts about this entire series. I don't doubt for a second the quality of the product that MKS PAMP is putting out, but the integrity is what I'm after, and re-releasing items with a classic name like Engelhard, even though this Engelhard refinery that had produced different products for the consumer market hadn't existed in many years, to revive that is a little bit dicey to me. In my opinion, it's not really something that I would be after. And again, I've left that up to you to decide if this is something that you would want to pursue too. But I couldn't just leave well enough alone, and I took a bullet for you guys, and I have something here that we will be unboxing fresh from AppMex, fresh from MKS PAMP. The interesting thing, I mentioned those 3-ounce silver bars, the cast or poured bars. You're looking at one of them here. Now, 3 ounces, as I am filming today, is right about $40 an ounce. So it would be about $120 for one of these bars. That's how much the silver content is. And you can see the pricing they have here is $199.95. That does not include shipping. We'll talk about that again in just a second. Does that seem like something you would be interested in? Keep in mind that this is a 10-ounce silver bar, so you can imagine what a 3-ounce silver bar would be in terms of its size. Now, Engelhard did release some very rare early 3-ounce silver bars, and we'll talk about that again in just a second too. So this is obviously something that they are pricing quite high. This is something that they are hoping that the collector market will be interested in, that the bullion stackers will be interested in having this revived name. I think that they are banking on it by these prices, but you'll have to let me know, is this something that you would want to pursue? $199.95 for 3 ounces of silver. In my experience, you can find authentic coins from places like the Perth Mint or the London Mint or some of the other mints of the world who have produced very limited actual sovereign coins that are within this price range for the same size. So I'm not sure that this is something that I would really want to pursue. Let me know what you think about that. So if this isn't something that you would normally be after, check out this low certificate of authenticity version of the 3-ounce bar. Now, I saw some of these earlier, so AppMex actually had their hands on some very early COAs. You're looking at COA number 4, right? This is supposedly, the 4th of these 3-ounce silver bars of this new revived Engelhard name. How much are they asking for it? $499.95. This kind of seems like almost the re-release of those 2024 flowing hair gold coins from the United States Mint, where all of those pieces that have the premium marked on them were issued at incredibly high prices, and people kind of lined up to buy them. The serial numbers seem to matter to those people. And if you're a collector, you know that I've said in the past that a low serial number is generally a good thing. But if they're already charging $199.95 for a 3-ounce silver bar that was literally just made a few weeks ago, and they have a certificate of authenticity that states that this bar is bar number 4, and it's selling, or they're asking, not necessarily that it's selling, for $499.95. It's definitely not something that old Dub C would pursue. Let me know what you think about that. So we've got that, right? These are new pieces that have a limited appeal that clearly they are asking a very high premium for. You guys know that I do a lot for you, and sometimes I bite the bullet, and sometimes it's just to save you from having to do something like this. So this is what I ordered from them in this line. Let's go ahead and unbox it. We'll take a look at exactly what we have here. I have not yet seen this, so I don't know exactly what it is that we're going to receive, how it's packaged, or what it's going to look like. But you're seeing it right here for the first time. I can feel paperwork in there, so I know that there's something there. Let me go ahead and pull that off to the side. There's the invoice, and here is the APMEX baggie. If you've ever ordered from APMEX before, you know exactly what this is. There it is, a 2025 revived Engelhard Prospector. Well, what do we think about that? You're seeing the 2025 date on it. Now, I'll do a compare and contrast. I don't know if I'm going to take this out of the sealed baggie. It almost kind of feels like maybe I should leave it in there. You're looking at here a 1984 Engelhard Prospector, and you can see, for comparison's sake, right, just how similar they look. They are clearly designed one after the other, right? Let's see if we can see the big E on the back of this one. We're going to have a little bit of trying to see it through the baggie, and we'll flip this one over so you can see it as well. Virtually identical, right? These are so close to being the same thing. Maybe the font is a little bit fatter, but other than that, they look like an Engelhard Prospector. If you saw this in a tube, you probably wouldn't even stop to think that you had found something unusual, something interesting. I do like the surface. That is kind of semi-proof-like. I have some very proof-like Engelhard Prospectors here, and I don't want to necessarily compare these two because I don't think they're quite the same thing, but it gives you a little bit of an idea, right? Not quite the matte finish that maybe we're used to seeing on most Engelhard Prospectors, maybe just slightly more proof-like. So what's the damage? What did this 2025 1-ounce Prospector cost me? You're looking at the order form here. I ordered this on 8/31 to give you an idea of when this happened. And you can see that silver was $40.10 the day that I ordered. And then the round itself had a $7.91 premium on it. That was hard for me to say. Believe me, it was hard for me to pay. Also, when my local dealers generally don't charge more than $1 or $2, even for prospectors, unless there's something really special about them. And for a single Silver Eagle, they may charge $4 or maybe $5 per Silver Eagle for a brilliant uncirculated, maybe a little bit more for the current year, but probably not more than $5 or maybe $6. To pay $7.91, literally almost $8 for a premium for one silver round, seems awfully steep to me. What do you think? How much is shipping? This is kind of funny also. $9.95 to ship a single round. Now, that's on me a little bit, right? I could have ordered several tubes, and in fact, they are actually selling these in those kind of extruded plastic tubes that resemble the original tubes that prospectors were shipped in. $9.95, and if I remember correctly, this shipped via USPS Ground Advantage. In my experience, Ground Advantage cost about $4.50 to ship. APMEX charged me $9.95. So the order total for one 2025 Prospector, $57.96. $20 premium, it seems a little steep, right? You got to charge something for shipping. Handling on a single piece, I don't know. I'm going to have to leave it up to you guys. You know I don't like to try to give you any kind of financial advice. I'm not here to poo-poo these. If you like the concept, if you like the idea, I get it. Obviously, I like Engelhard. I always have. It's one of my favorite refineries. But the idea of shelling out almost $60 for a single round, That's a tough row to hoe. I'm not sure that I will be buying any more of these pieces. And believe me, I like the Engelhard name. I like PAMP Swiss. I do like MKS PAMP. I am a big fan of MTB bars. You guys have seen on my channel that I have several of the vintage MTB bars. In fact, I will be showing a brand new vintage MTB bar in an upcoming video as well. And believe it or not, I like APMEX. I always have. I have ordered from them for years, and I've always been really pleased with the service. Certainly, they shipped this to me very quickly, and it arrived in perfect condition. So what are your thoughts? Let me know what you think about this. Is the revived Engelhard something you are going to go after? Is this something that you are keenly aware of and that you are dying to get your hands on? Do you want one of those 3-ounce bars? Are you looking forward to the 3-bar set, the 1, the 5, and the 10-ounce bar with Lady Liberty on them? Are you going to go for the 1/10 gold prospector? Are you going to go for a tube of the 2025 dated prospectors? I would love to know your thoughts about that. What do you feel about that? Is this something that you are going to pursue? Definitely leave your comments down below because I really want to know. And if you're tired of this entire revived idea, I get that too. This is something that is unique to our industry right now, and it seems to be happening with more and more common frequency. So let's kind of dig our fingers into this and see what we can find out about these types of retro bullion products. If you have any questions about anything we talked about here today, by all means leave a question down below. You guys know that I'm fond of saying if you've got a question, there's a good chance somebody else has a question. Let's see if we can answer it for everybody. And if you ask an interesting question that I think I can delve a little bit deeper into, I might just make a video specifically about that question. I call that the subscriber question and answer video series. You'll find a link to that down below as well. I air new videos typically on Friday evenings, and those Friday evenings I'm there for the premiere, for the first time those videos are shown, and I would love to have you show up for one of those premieres. Click on the subscription button, but also click on the notification button. It will let you know when I have new videos that are coming out, and I typically go live after the Friday evening premieres. We take a deeper dive into the subject we just talked about, but the floor is wide open for virtually anything you want to discuss about coins or precious metals. I love those live streams. It's a great way to kick off the weekend. We go really at a fast pace, and everybody in the community stops in to say hi. It's a great way to meet new people and share experiences about stacking precious metals and rare coins. Always be learning, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey as we go deeper into the world of coins and physical precious metals.